Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Kicks Closet with your boy Shoe Beast. Back at it again. Got the volume a little bit different. I'm up a little bit more. I got a little more energy. It's not 2 a.m. It's 2 p.m. actually. Did an exact 12-hour flip from the last time. I'm here with a quicker episode. Just wanted to kind of refreshing up some content, keep things consistent. Took a little bit of time off there for a second, but I left you guys with a pretty long first podcast just to marinate with. I'm gonna title this one something like "How Not to Get Scammed Selling and Buying Shoes," buying and selling shoes, whichever. I don't know, something like that. So we're gonna go over sneakerhead nightmares, the scams, the fakes, all things terrible, really. I have a couple stories that I can share that have happened to me to make it personal, and then just a couple of tips that I can go through with you guys to help maybe combat some of the scamming that's going on. So hopefully you don't get burned. And if you have anything that you want to add, if you want to comment, DM me a story, something like that, we can definitely share it on the channel. We can do something like that, where I read people's stories. If you guys can hear, my neighbor's dog is a fucking dick. Like, it's a hound dog, and it literally barks at nothing. I'm gonna be silent for a second. You guys can hear this shit. Oh, and now it's gonna shut the fuck up. Okay. That's what's up. Okay, so and now it's barking. See, now y'all hear it. Okay. So anyways, I got two stories that I want to share with y'all. I'm gonna leave one for the end. I'm gonna start with one, okay? So a couple months ago, I was in the market for a chunky donkey. When I say a couple months ago, probably like August-ish, something like that. I was in the market for a chunky donkey. I was looking for it for a specific client, and so I was sourcing a chunky donkey for a client. And if you know, of course, the chunky donkey is very sought after, very hard to find, and very faked. So I met up with this guy on OfferUp. He seemed super cool. He seemed super legit. He had tons of sales. He had tons of 5-star reviews. Didn't raise any of my red flags, and I'll go over some of my red flags after this story. He didn't really do any of that for me. So, and the shoes look good in the picture, and he was willing to let me legit check them when I was there. So I was like, cool. Everything, usually the first sign of a scammer is like they won't let you meet at a legit check, or they'll tell you like they don't have enough time to let you sit there and use the apps. But yeah, that's always a red flag. So he didn't do any of that. So I was like, cool, bet. Let's meet up. And so we met up. And originally, I was gonna meet him up at a boutique in the mall that I know a lot of the guys there. I love that store. They're very reputable. So they know their stuff. So I was gonna originally meet him up to get him legit checked at the store. He told me that he didn't have time to meet there, but I was looking through the pictures, and I actually saw that the box had the sticker of the store that I was actually going to bring him to legit check it, meaning that the shoe was bought from that store. So I was like, you know what, that's fine. Let's just meet somewhere public. We'll blah, 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 whatever, boop de boop. So we met at a Christian private school, like cops everywhere, very secure place. We met there and did the deal. I got them. They looked great. They really did. They looked great. He even had like tape over the insole logo. They looked really good. So what I was gonna do, I was like, might as well. It's on the way home. So I drove to the boutique that these were apparently from, and I was going to meet him at originally to get him legit checked, just so I can get him, a once over, see if everything's good. So I went there, and I was like, what's up, guys? I wanted to show you guys these shoes that I just bought, and blah, blah, blah. They looked at him for a sec, and everything was good. And I'm not saying the name of this store for the sake of a specific part of this story. They came back and they were like, yeah, man, these are fake. And I was like, what? And I've held a couple pairs of Chunky Dunkies. So when he told me that, I was kind of taken aback because these looked good. Like, these were beautiful shoes. They weren't like some obvious batch one fakes with like brown spots. They were beautiful materials, everything. And they were like, yeah, I mean, these are some incredible fakes. I'm not gonna lie to you. The only reason we know that they're fakes and replicas is under the UV we can see some trace marks, and under the and when we scanned our price tag on it, it came up for bread 11s. So, in the part of the story I'm not saying the store's name for sake, is they said these fakes are actually so good you could resell them if you wanted to. Sell them as used. Sell them, whatever. And I'm just not about that life whatsoever. My stance on fakes is, if you want to buy fakes to wear, do it, I guess. I can't control people. If you want to, just don't sell fakes as real. Don't try to pull them off as real, So yeah, it was just crazy. The guy had bought some incredible fakes. He pulled the sticker off of a box of bread 11s from a very reputable boutique and put it on that box, and it won me enough to do the deal outside of a legit check. And at the time, I will say this, I use check, I use legit check and all that, but at the time my app wasn't letting me reload on coins, on credits. It was doing like a weird thing where every time I would try to pay, and yes, I had money for the fucking $5 for the $3 whatever. It was just doing like a weird thing where it wouldn't process the payment. Like an error would happen, an error message on the app. It wouldn't like decline the card or anything like that. It would just do like an error message. So I went through a period of time where I didn't have my legit check app. So I was having to use my keener sense of judgment, and I had a lapse in that and let something, the equivalent of a StockX tag, a barcode, I let that sell me on the legitimacy of a shoe. So that was a story. I got burned for some very expensive shoes. Very expensive. And I got him back. I did get him back, and I'm not gonna go into that. We might go into that. We might do that for another episode. But we might do like a how we treat scammers episode. That might be how we title that one. But yeah, so that's the story of how I got beat over the head for some fake Chunky Dunkies and ended up giving them to a skateboarder friend to beat the fuck up. So how can you keep this from happening? Well, A, just do exactly what I did not do. Don't go buy that sticker. Get a legit check. There's a few things. I mean, there's a few things that can really help you from not getting played and not getting burned. The main thing is just like knowing exactly what to look for on the shoe you're buying. So whenever you do give it that quick once over, that it looks good. Know what the materials are supposed to look like. Know what they're supposed to feel like. And it sounds weird, but know what it's supposed to smell like. Because a lot of the replica factories keep a lot of those chemical smells on it, and they stay in those factories for a long time, so it like marinates in that smell. So yeah, just and there's a lot of other chemicals that are on fake shoes that aren't on real shoes that smell different, and people don't realize that it's not just the glue smell. There's whatever they're using that we can see on the black lights, we can there's obviously something going on. And speaking of, just have a UV light with you. Grab one, $5 on Amazon, $2 on Wish if you want to wait 80 days right now. but seriously, $5 on Amazon, like $9 with shipping. You once over that, a legit pair of shoes, the stitching will glow. This is generally, you would want to look into the specifics for each one of your shoes, and luckily Check has a lot of that information on their site. Big shout out to Check, by the way. I guess this is I guess that's going to be the shout out for this video. It's the Check app. Because they could have saved my ass in that situation if I didn't, if that error wasn't happening, because they've saved me in plenty of situations. So yeah, grab yourself a UV light, because in a real pair of shoes, the stitching is gonna glow normally, but not much else, and a little bit, you might see a little bit of glue around the midsoles, but not a whole lot else should glow, not a whole lot else. You shouldn't see any kind of like out of place stains or anything like that, any type of like white spots that show up on the shoes, any type of like splatter looking on the shoes. Look for any like red markings or anything like that, because that's the that's what the factories, they put these guidelines on the materials so the fake factories can follow those guidelines. It's kind of like painting by numbers, they put the lines on it so they know where to cut the shoe, where to place this, where to place that, and they don't always put it right on so you can see where that line is. So these are just things to look for generally with a UV light. Now, I know that there's very specifics, like with Off-White shoes, with the Off-White collabs, there's very specific things that are dead giveaways with a UV light. Another thing that I put down on this list is just don't go for face value on StockX tags and even reputable boutique barcodes that are on shoe boxes, just like I was an example of. The StockX tags, you can do research on those. There's plenty of videos, but I mean overall, like a real one, the letters are going to be a lot more skinny, and there's a lot of different versions of the StockX tag. But the newer ones are, I think they're a little more like, the green's a little different. I think the green's a bit darker, honestly. I did a video on IG Live and it was a little darker to me. The letters they're raised and like boxy. They're not raised and like round like they should be on a legit. And the biggest thing is on the latest StockX tag, once again with a UV light, if you flip it over, you'll be able to see that it has a